Good morning, welcome back to the Bog Kitchen. We're going to be doing a lacto-fermented spicy dilly bean. So what we're going to do is we're outside to pick one of our ingredients that we need, and I'll go over everything as soon as we get it. Alright, so what we have here is a Scotch bonnet. It is a spicy pepper, a little bit hotter than the habanero. So we're going to use that to spice and turn up the heat in our dilly beans. Alright, it's pretty simple. All you're going to need for ingredients for making them spicy, you're going to need the green beans, dill, your Scotch bonnet or spicy pepper that you're going to be using, garlic, and salt. And I'm also going to probably do, because I have so many, do 2 jars, and one's just going to be plain dill. So it's going to be dill and garlic and salt with the green beans. Now, with that, you're going to need a scale, something to mix everything into, and your jars and your silicone burpers. Now all the green beans have been washed and rinsed off, but what we're going to do is I'm going to keep all of the stems on there, just something extra, something to hold on to that isn't going to be soggy, and I don't want the brine to get all the way saturated in there. I want it to still be crisp and crunchy without being too vinegary, too dilled up. So what I'm going to do, for one, I'm going to put a little bit of your dill. I got this from just a grocery store near us. They did have some at the farmer's market where I got the green beans. I just didn't think about picking it up at the time. Same thing with the garlic. I got that at the farmer's market near us. Put a little bit in the bottom of both of those. We're going to add garlic to both of these. And this is a hard stem garlic, so it's a little bit more flavorful than the regular soft garlic that you get, or soft stem garlic you get at the grocery store. I'm not going to be chopping these, I'm just going to be mashing them and then dropping them in. Now with these, they go good as a part of Bloody Marys. You can put this as just a part of like a charcuterie board where you've got your meat and your sausage and you need some vegetables. So here's some pickled vegetables or something like that. Now with this, it's just going to be a rough chop. Be mindful of how spicy this is, so try not to get your hands too much on it. I just cut it in half and dropped it in. Now, with everything else, you put your green beans in. And you're going to want to fill this the best you can. Really pack it in there. I want to be able to make sure the weight fits in there, and it does. Alright, it's done. Alright, now I'm going to leave a little room not only for the weight, but I'm also going to put a little bit more dill back onto the top before we add everything at the end. So I want to keep a little bit of room. Alright, in this case we've got a control jar. So we have this zeroed in, so these jars are the same make and model of the one we're using. So this is at 0. So now we are going to get the weight of our vegetables and then add our water to get our total weight. Now I will leave the description on how I get to this, or I'll leave the equation that I use. I'll put it here up on the screen and I will list it in the description so you know exactly how I get to my percentage. I personally like using a 2.5% solution, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take our total weight here and multiply it times 0.025 to get our total weight. Salt, and this is going to be 18.475, so roughly 18.5. And this doesn't do, it doesn't move into the points, so I'm going to have to judge and probably go, as soon as I hit 18, add a little bit more, and that'll be it. Zero that out and add our salt. Just over 18. Add it to our water. Give it a good stir. Now it's probably best to use a fine sea salt. It'll probably dilute a lot better or dissolve a lot better into your liquid, but what I've got is this ground Himalayan pink salt, which has a little bit more sediment in it, so it's not going to completely dissolve, but we're going to do the best that we can and then add it back to our beans. Our weight in, be careful not to splash too much out. That's just going to hold everything down to make sure that nothing rises to the surface and then subsequently starts to grow mold or rot. We'll secure this on, and this burping lid is, like I've said in the past, is going to allow the air to come out through the tip here as it starts to carbonate from the fermentation process. So that's one done. We got one more, so let's get it going. Now it's just time to let it ferment. We're going to sit it in a dark area of the kitchen, and we're going to cover it with a tea cloth or a kitchen cloth. Now it's just going to take time. It's going to be about, again, like we've said in the past, 3 to 4 days, but then it's really based on taste. How tart do you want it to be? How much fermentation do you really want? But it takes about 4 days. Alright, so it's all done. Take these lids off. Feels pretty full. Oh yeah, overflow. Alright, so these are the spicy ones, so let's give it a try. It's just a hint of heat, it's not too terrible. But I'm looking at it, very dilly. But down here is where that Scotch bonnet is. So I'm guessing the further I get down, the spicier these are gonna get. Overall, they're pretty good. All right, overall, I think they turned out really well. That dill flavor is big, it's in there. We did leave this go for an extra 3 days. Beyond what we thought we were going to. So I was going to do about 4 days. I ended up doing it for 7. Now the centers are pretty soft, but I think a lot of this will start, once I start to refrigerate it, everything will start to perk up a little bit. And that's the big thing with this. Once it's all done, you got to stop the fermentation process and put it in the refrigerator. Be careful with the lid you put on. If you put the lid on tight here, you will have some carbonation that will give you a pop. So be careful with that. If there's anything else you'd like to see me pickle or try out, I've got a couple other things on the way that I'm going to give a shot to. But I think that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you soon.